In 3 days, the Premier League season kicks off, and 3 clubs still have no name across the front of their shirt. Arsenal host newly promoted Coventry City at home on August 21st, opening the 2026-27 season. For most fans, a shirt sponsor logo is background noise. Inside a club's finance office, it is one of the biggest numbers on the page. A front-of-shirt deal is one of the largest single commercial contracts a Premier League club negotiates in any given year.
For more than a decade, one industry consistently outbid almost everyone else willing to pay for that exact patch of fabric: online gambling.
By the 2025-26 season, gambling companies held the front-of-shirt deal for 11 of the league's 20 clubs.
That is more than half the league carrying a betting company's name across the chest on any given match day.
That dependence on one industry did not appear overnight. It built up gradually, deal by deal, over the better part of a decade. Then, in April 2023, the Premier League's 20 clubs voted together to end that arrangement completely. Not immediately. The clubs built in a 3-season runway before the new rule would actually take effect. The vote made the Premier League the first major sports league in the country to adopt this kind of restriction on its own members voluntarily. That runway expires with the season now beginning. From this kickoff onward, no gambling logo can sit on a matchday shirt front. 3 seasons sounds like plenty of time to line up a replacement sponsor. For most clubs in the league, it was. For 3 of them sitting inside this same league, the clock ran out first. Start with what the rule actually bans, because it is narrower than it first sounds. Only the front of the matchday shirt is affected, the single most visible panel of fabric a club sells. Sleeve sponsorship stay allowed. Training kit branding stays allowed. Stadium boards and pitch-side LED screens stay allowed too. A gambling brand can still be everywhere around a Premier League ground. It simply cannot be on the front of the shirt itself. Everton is a clean example of exactly that shift. Their gambling partner Stake did not disappear from the kit.
Stake's logo simply moved from the chest to the sleeve, the same brand, a smaller and less valuable piece of fabric.
That single move captures the entire rule in miniature. Not a ban on gambling money in football, just a ban on its biggest billboard. So why does moving one logo a few inches down the sleeve matter enough to reshape a whole market? Because the front-of-shirt panel was never priced like an ordinary piece of advertising space. At the moment, the 2023 vote passed, 8 clubs held gambling front-of-shirt deals worth roughly £60 million combined per year. 3 years later, with 11 clubs carrying gambling logos by 2025-26, that combined figure had grown well past that original number. Industry analysts now estimate the league-wide shortfall created by this ban at roughly £80 million a year. £80 million is not one club's problem. It is spread unevenly across 20 separate boardrooms, each solving it on its own timeline.
Here's the harder part of the math. Swapping a gambling sponsor for a non-gambling one rarely means an equal trade.
Clubs replacing a gambling front-of-shirt deal are losing, on average, close to 38% of that deal's original value. Gambling brands were willing to pay a premium other industries simply were not, because shirt visibility converts directly into new betting accounts. Applied to a mid-sized sponsorship contract, a 38% gap can mean millions of pounds disappearing from a single deal in one renewal cycle. A finance company or an airline wants brand visibility too, but rarely values a logo at the same aggressive price a betting operator did. That pricing gap is the real engine behind this whole story, not the ban itself, but what replacing gambling money actually costs. Most of the league has already absorbed that cost and moved on to a new category of front-of-shirt partner. AFC Bournemouth is one clear case. Their previous gambling partner is gone from the shirt front, replaced by Vitality, a health and life insurer. Brentford took a different route entirely, expanding an existing partnership with Indeed, the job search company, rather than chasing a brand new deal. Across the league, finance, insurance, and technology firms have become the new dominant category filling the space gambling brands once owned. Sponsorship analysts describe this shift in blunt terms. Gambling money is stepping back from the shirt front, and financial services money is stepping in. The change reaches beyond individual shirts too. Broadcast sponsorship around Premier League coverage is shifting in the same direction.
Starting this season, live match coverage carries a new set of broadcast partners spanning food, drink, and other consumer brands rather than betting firms alone.
None of that is the shirt front rule directly. Broadcast sponsorship is a separate contract entirely, but it shows the same industry-wide pattern.
Football's biggest advertising spaces are being actively repriced this year, one category of sponsor at a time. Most clubs solved this puzzle months ago. 3 clubs are still solving it 3 days before a ball is kicked. Sunderland is the clearest case. Their one-year front-of-shirt deal with W88, an overseas gambling firm, expired at the end of last season. When Sunderland unveiled their new home kit, the shirt front carried no sponsor at all, and the blank panel immediately drew attention. The club has said publicly that a front-of-shirt partner is still coming, with fans who buy shirts early able to add the logo once it lands. As of the season's opening week, that partner has not yet been named. None of the three clubs still searching are breaking any league rule by starting the season with a blank shirt front. The rule bans a gambling logo, not an empty space. Nottingham Forest sit in a similar spot. Their previous front-of-shirt partner, Bally's, a gambling company, is no longer eligible under the new rule.
Reports through late July and into August described Forest still actively negotiating a replacement without a confirmed announcement yet.
For a club that only just returned to regular European competition, an unresolved shirt deal heading into kickoff is an unusually public gap. Chelsea's situation is different and in some ways longer running than the other two. Chelsea have not carried a permanent front-of-shirt sponsor since a previous telecom partnership ended back in 2023. Earlier this year, the club signed a short-term front-of-shirt deal with an enterprise software and artificial intelligence company, running only through the end of last season.
That partner, a business software firm rather than a gambling operator, was never a long-term replacement, just a placeholder while a permanent deal was still being sought.
That short-term deal has since ended, leaving Chelsea without a shirt sponsor again heading into this new season. Chelsea's gap was never actually caused by the gambling ban. It is a separate, longer-running commercial story that simply overlaps in timing. Put those three clubs side by side, and two very different problems are hiding inside what looks like one shared headline. Sunderland and Forest lost a gambling partner they can no longer legally keep and are racing to replace lost value under a hard deadline. Chelsea's blank shirt reflects a club that has simply struggled on and off since 2023 to land any long-term commercial partner at all. Coverage that lumps all three clubs together under one gambling ban headline is telling only part of the real story. Why has replacing a gambling sponsor proven harder for some clubs than others across the league? Market size is one clear factor. A club with a larger global following can offer a sponsor far more brand exposure for the same logo. Manchester clubs and London's biggest names have generally filled the front-of-shirt gap faster, backed by global audiences advertisers actively compete for. Mid-table clubs with smaller international reach are the ones most often left negotiating right up against the season's opening weekend. Sponsor's decision is rarely just about loyalty to the sport. It is a straightforward calculation of audience size against asking price. Timing works against some clubs too. A club that only secured Premier League status recently has had far less runway to build sponsor relationships. Sunderland only returned to the Premier League last season after years outside the top flight, compressing years of relationship building into a matter of months. There is a quieter, longer-term question sitting underneath all three unresolved shirt deals. If financial services and technology brands cannot fully match what gambling money once paid, does the total value of shirt sponsorship simply shrink for good? Some sponsorship analysts argue the market will eventually catch up as new categories of buyer grow comfortable paying premium prices for that exposure. Others argue gambling companies paid an unusually generous price precisely because a new customer is worth so much to a betting operator specifically. If that specific incentive genuinely does not exist for other industries, the £80 million shortfall this year may not be a temporary dip at all. It could instead be closer to a permanent new ceiling on what shirt front sponsorship is actually worth across English football. None of this changes what happens on August 21st. Kickoff arrives on schedule, sponsor or no sponsor. Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, and Chelsea will each step onto the pitch this opening weekend wearing shirts with an empty space across the chest. For three clubs out of 20, the biggest commercial decision the league made in years is arriving as a visible, literal gap in the kit. 17 clubs solved this puzzle in time. 3 clubs are still solving it in real time on national television this weekend. Whoever eventually fills those 3 blank panels will have negotiated from a position every other club in the league has already left behind. That leftover leverage cuts against the empty shirt club, not toward it, in every one of these ongoing conversations. Step back from any single club, and a bigger structural story becomes visible across the whole league. The Premier League voluntarily gave up an estimated £80 million a year in easy gambling revenue spread across its member clubs. No outside body forced that decision. 20 clubs chose it themselves, then gave each other 3 seasons to actually prepare for the cost. Most of the league treated that runway as exactly what it was, a deadline, not a suggestion, and planned accordingly well in advance. A handful of clubs treated it differently. whether by circumstance, market size, or simple bad timing, and are now paying the price in public.
That gap between preparation and improvisation is, in miniature, exactly the kind of structure this show exists to trace.
A rule voted through in one room in 2023 is now visible on live television 3 years later, stitched directly onto a shirt. £80 million a year does not vanish quietly. It resurfaces as blank fabric, awkward headlines, and rushed negotiations during a season's opening week. The clubs that plan 3 years ahead are already collecting a new sponsor's money this weekend, logo fully in place. The clubs that did not are learning, in real time, exactly what an empty shirt front cost in a market this competitive. 9 clubs across the league had yet to finalize a new shirt deal earlier this summer. That number has since shrunk to 3. Whether it reaches 0 by the time September's international break arrives is now simply a matter of who blinks first at the negotiating table. Most sponsorship analysts tracking the league expect all 20 clubs to have a name on the shirt front again by that point, just a different kind of name than before.
One thing is already certain regardless of how those final 3 deals resolve.
The price of that one panel of fabric on the front of a Premier League shirt has permanently changed. Compound World covers the events, decisions, and power structures that shape the world: economics, finance, sports, and beyond, grounded in real data. No hot takes, no manufactured outrage.